Hi, it's Clyde at Vibrant Soap, and this is the second of two soaps back to back that were inspired by a trip to Egypt. It was just really fascinating, so it's no wonder that I came away inspired. The second one is another version of the soap that I made, Scirocco, and I have a soap making video on that one, but I changed this one up quite a bit. Not that I didn't like the other one, but when I really think about what Scirocco was and is, I want to make sure that I captured that wind idea. So this one is made to look a little more fluid, and I hope I captured that. I made a color tutorial and then I decided that I changed it anyway, so I tossed that tutorial. And basically that's because sometimes you can't make sense of something that you feel, like a memory. If you saw colors like this, you'd use colors like this, regardless of color theory. What happens with me though, because I was trained with color theory, is that somehow the artist's mind takes over and makes some good choices even though I'm following my heart. So let's get started with the soap. Alright, so this is my different version of Scirocco. As I said in the intro, those are the winds that blow through Egypt in the Middle East. And we were there when this happened. The sky turned red, and I'll never forget that. But it's such an exotic place that I decided to name this soap and design the soap after those winds. So I want to redesign this to be more wind-like. So you'll see what I have in store for it. Okay, that's emulsified. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make some white. And I'm going to actually make two batches of white. This is my Scirocco color, so I'm going to have a little bit more of that. The red winds, purple for the exotic area that was, and these are just some more of the ochre colors that I remember the Sahara looking like. Okay, so here's where I'm going to have two different batches of white with titanium dioxide. And my reason for that is so that I can make a more fluid version of my vision of the wind. They're about the same color white, which is fine. Although if it was different, I wasn't going to mind it very much. So they're all very earthy colors, except for that purple. Okay, let's get the fragrance in. More in the whites. A little bit in all the colors. I love this. Fragrance is very hypnotic too. I always liked it. So there are my whites, my ochre, also going in the order of lightest to darkest, so I can use the same spatula. This is the red oxide that I put a little titanium dioxide in to lighten it up a little. And this is the pure red oxide. You just need a little bit. So word of warning if you've never used red oxide, just a little bit. That's like maybe a quarter teaspoon. Okay. So this is my reason for having Actually, this one is I'm going to do an in the pot swirl with this, and then use it as a drop swirl in a base of white. So here's purple, purple, purple middle, just a little bit for the top. Or some of this in front. There. And this right into it. Some in the middle with that purple. And my ochre in all the other places that I didn't pour. Alright, saved enough for the top, I believe. Now I'm wondering if I want to swirl that too. I think I do. Just once around. And the soap is really behaving itself. Let's get a layer of that in there. Actually, the whole thing. Right down the middle. I haven't made a textured top in a long time, but in this case, because of the dunes, I want to make a textured top. But I'm going to do some swirling with the colors first before I do that. Let's see, so the purple is just an accent, so I want to put that next for the last one, because I don't want it to stick out too much. Now, why I really decided on purple was not a sort of academic decision. It was just a feeling, and that I made a color tutorial for this one and then tossed it out the window, because sometimes it's just how you feel. And that's sort of a lesson too. If you feel like you want to add a color, you should go ahead and do it. We've learned in art school that through one assignment in particular, that you can break established rules of art and use all your other sensibilities to just make it work. And that means changing everything else that you can to make the colors that you want work. So although I've enjoyed making the color tutorials and all, it's all a bunch of rules that can be broken anyway. But you know, knowing something about color can help you when you improvise. So that's why it's important. Here I'm thinking that this is all just made up, colors on the way, but I know that my artist mind takes over sometimes. And let's do some swirling. I want to protect that middle. Basically like that. Let's see if I can get a few more drops of the purple. right there. So I'm going to let this set up a little bit, and then I'm going to add a little texture to it, and I'm hoping that I don't wreck it and cover over all the swirls that I just did. But I'll bring you right back when that's ready. I decided at the last moment that it looked a little too plain, and remembering that the Egyptians used all this gold, I decided to do a little gold mica drizzle on top, and this is the perfect type of situation to do that because there's all these nooks and crannies where the gold drizzle can collect. Just adds a richness to the soap, and that I think is exactly what this soap needed to brighten it up a little bit more. So this gold mica is just suspended in a little bit of olive oil, and it will surprisingly just reabsorb into the soap as it. Okay, so that completes Scirocco, the winds that I saw on a trip to Egypt, and we'll see what that looks like cut now. Okay, this is crazy, but I had to put the soap back together because the battery was wearing out, and I also forgot to turn on the record button. So, but I wish you didn't miss that, so I wanted to recreate this. I cut this off, and I was surprised to get this as the end. I mean, how often does that happen? Wish I could have planned that through the whole loaf because it looks so interesting. And then I got this one. That's quite a drastic jump from that first one. Here's that end piece near the end. Think of anything else, but that's exotic too. But the colors work well together, and it's got colloidal oatmeal in there that leaves those little specks that I like. They're they look like a texture. So far, every soap that I put some colloidal oatmeal in ended up being just such a really good soap. So I find myself using that a lot more often. This technique really does give you really fine swirls if you like that. But your soap has to be very fluid to get that. I'm getting this interesting feature in a lot of the soaps. Like a planet or something. That's one of my favorites right there. I like it when it gets those little feathers. Okay. There's the feathers again. That's pretty too. It's not a circle, but it's kind of blossoming like a tulip from the bottom. And this one shows that even more. So yes, I'm happy with that. That's the end cut. So, well, you want to see, okay, there you go. It's kind of plain. Yeah. So we'll see you real soon. Bye, everybody.